Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over a talisman guide, what talismans you should get for early, mid, late, and even a little bit into endgame. Now, this is not a talisman guide for reforges. I have a bunch of those videos on my channels. Go check them out. I'll also make a new one very soon. If you guys do enjoy today's video, please consider subscribing. It'd help out a lot. You can always unsubscribe later. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Talismans are a huge part of Hypixel Skybock. They make up a lot of stats. Now, I have no talismans on me since I have almost all of them in a chest for the video. However, they make up a lot of stats for your strength and crit damage, even some health or intelligence. They're a huge part of Hypixel Skyblock. It's really important to know which talismans you should get and which reforge to put on them. I'm going over which talismans you get for early game, mid game, late game, and then end game. I have them divided into chests for price. First, let's start off with early game. Early game, I'm talking like all these talismans cost less than 50k. So very, very cheap, very, very early. I'll boost your stats by a lot. Now, most of these are common talismans. First off, we got the Fire Talisman. I think this is a Blaze crafting recipe, but I could be wrong. Then you got the Silky Talisman of Coins. Cake Bag you can buy for I think 100k. Farming Talisman, Scavenger Talisman, Vaccine Talisman, Skeleton Talisman, Night Charm, Potato, Village Affinity, and Mine Affinity. Now, you can buy most of those talismans, those are all the common ones, in the hub at the Adventurer. Other ones are super easy to get and cost like 3k on auction house. However, you might have to go on and actually bid on them, not just buy instantly. It's very easy to get. Some of them cost, none of them cost over 10k. Next, we're going to move on to the still early game, but the uncommon talismans. We have the Wood Affinity Talisman. This one's pretty cheap. I forget where you get the recipe, but it's pretty cheap. Emerald Ring, that again doesn't cost much. It uses emeralds. Farmer's Orb, I believe, uses pumpkins. Magnetic Talisman, Lava Talisman, Gravity Talisman, Zombie Ring. Healing Ring costs, again, all these cost about 10, 20k. And Fish Affinity Talisman. All of these talismans, again, super early game, highly recommend you buy it. I think I forgot to say this earlier, however, there is a very nice website called Skycrypt where you can put in your name and it'll tell you all your stats and which talismans you're missing. Now on to the mid-game section. Mid-game, most of these talismans cost anywhere from about 40k to highest cost about 300k. And these, again, you can notice there's a lot less talismans because you can get so much common talismans for the Adventurer. These talismans include the Razor Sharpshooter Necklace. You get this from the fishing event. There's a bunch of different levels. You can buy the first ones when you're a while in. But going up to the Tiger Shark Tooth, it's extremely cheap. It costs like 200, 300k to get an epic talisman. Probably one of the, I think, the cheapest epic talisman in the entire game. Super nice. Upgrading to legendary is nice, but it costs 4 mil. In addition to that, you have all the piggy banks. You get this, I'm sure you could guess by now, from the pig collection. These have piggy banks, which cost about 40 in a chest. It costs again about 40k per, then you can break them to get all the different variants. Next, we have the Bad Person Ring. This is a recipe from Spooky Festival and costs. Next, we have the Bad Person Ring. Now, Bad Person Ring actually does cost a little bit more. However, I didn't want to get the lower down version because that's just a pain. So, Bad Person Talisman is what you should get. Buy it off like HE costs like I think 100, 200k. Upgrading into the ring costs about 1.2ish mil, so just buy the normal bat talisman as common, and you can upgrade it later if you need to. Next, we have the Lucky Hoof. You get this also from Spooky, however, it's just a drop. This costs about, I think, 200k. Yeah, about 200k. Super nice. Shaded Wolf Paw, again, search it up, it costs about 200k. Intimidation Ring. Now you got the Forceful Intimidation Ring. Now this guy is worth about 200 and 300k on AH. Super nice. And also keeps mobs below level 5 away from you. Next you have the Potion Affinity Artifact. Now these are onto the blue ones. Again, if you have to only prioritizing buying one of these, buy an epic over blue, buy blue over gray, or green, green over gray. Simple as that. By the highest level because it has more stats and can be reforged and get a lot more stats. Potion Affinity Artifact increases the duration of any potion when held in your inventory. Doesn't really have an effect because God Pots, but still nice for the effect. This one's kind of nice, but then again, God Pots kind of make it useless. Spider Ring is an upgrade from, I think, Spider Talisman. It requires Spider Slayer 1. Not that hard to get there, you have to kill like freaking 2 spiders. Feather Artifact, pretty simple, crafted with feathers. And just fall damage for feather falling. Candy Ring, now there's a bunch of different upgrades from that. There's Candy Artifact, there's Candy Relic. Candy Ring is what you should get for the mid game, as it costs about 200k. You can upgrade later if needed. Sea Creature Artifact, again super nice. It's pretty cheap as well. I mean, it costs what? Yeah, it costs about 400k. Really good talisman. Highly suggest you get. Now on to a different section. So we've gone over early and mid game. Now I'm going to be going over the challenge talismans. Now there's a group for this, and these are all the talismans you can get by completing challenges. Whether that be Melody in the park, Gustav for the race, the Ender guy for the race, the End race, the Dungeon Hub race. Though any quest you can complete to get these challenges. These talismans include Pigfoot, you get this from the race in the end. Frozen Chicken, you get this from the race in the Jerry Island. King Talisman, you get this from talking to all 7 kings when they're appointed at the Dwarven Mines. Melody Hair, you get this from completing the Melody quest in the forest. Cheetah Talisman, you get this from completing a certain amount of races in the Dungeon Hub. Ring of Love, or further on, Romeo and Juliet, don't do this quest. This quest costs more and more as it goes on, so yeah, again, balance how much you want to spend. In Campfire Badge, pretty simple, you just have to survive. These talismans, you can't actually buy off AH. Well, some of them you can, I think, but some of them you can't buy off AH. So these are just quest talismans. Some of the talismans you can do for free, for example, Melody Hair, King Talisman, Shaded Chicken, Pigfoot. If you need the stuff to do it though, you can just buy it and then resell it, and you basically got it for free. Now going on to the late game talismans. Also, if there's any I missed, sorry. I'm sure I missed some in there. There was so many talismans in the game in each different version of upgrading. These talismans cost anywhere from 500k to 1.2 mil. And there was a good amount of them. First, you got Dante Talisman. I'm sure you guys know where this is from. Dante, the Mayor, the Tyrant. Then you've got the Blood God Crest from Technoblade. You've got the Green Jerry Talisman from the Jerry event. Again, you can upgrade this. You got the Soulful Flow Pile from the Ender Slayer update. Those are all the blue ones we got. Now onto the blue ones. You got the Treasure Talisman. Again, you can upgrade this into a ring. It's a drop from dungeons. It costs about 300k. Scarf Studies, drop from floor 2. Costs about 400k-ish. You can upgrade to Scarf Thesis and then to Scarf Grimoire. Scarf Thesis costs about 1.9 mil. Scarf Grimoire costs about 6 to 8 mil. Mineral Talisman, you get this from crafting, I believe it's 8 or 9 minerals together in a shape. It costs about 700k, give or take. Red Claw Ring, this one you get from doing Slayer. I believe you do have to have Sven Pack Slayer at a certain level, and it costs about 850k. Now the Day and Night Crystals. The price of these are pretty high right now because quartz, well, you know, the price kind of rose by a lot. It's starting to drop, but it still rose by a lot. So the price is high. However, you need 1 enchanted block and then 4 enchanted quartz. So it costs about 1 million coins for each one. Next, you got Personal Deleter and Personal Compactor. I'm counting both of these. Pretty easy to make. Personal Compactor is in the Cobblestone collection. Personal Compactor is in the Redstone collection, and it doesn't cost a whole lot, but getting it to Personal Compactor 4,000 or even 5,000 would cost a good amount of money. It's not really cheap, but getting personal compactor 4,000 and personal deleter 5,000, you get personal deleter from the iron recipe. Takes a good amount of iron, but again, it's cheaper than the personal compactor. Next item we got is, these are the legendaries and epics. I know I'm doing this last, but prioritize getting to these first, as these are super nice. First, you have the experience artifact. This costs about 500k. I believe you need 8 enchanted lapis blocks. I think that sounds about right. We need lapis blocks in order to craft. Strong Bat artifact, I forget how you get this, but it's the first legendary talisman if you're following this guide you get. It costs about 700k, so highly recommend doing it, as legendary talismans are better than all of the talismans. They have about double the stats of the blue talisman. So, now I know there's a bunch of other talismans I haven't gone over. This is because they are so expensive and there's so many of them. Some of them aren't terribly expensive, but they're very expensive. That is all I'm going to cover for now, is the early game to help players out in mid game. If you do want to go check your stats or which talismans you need, go check on Skycrypt. It is such a nice platform. That's what I use to figure out what talismans I need. Best thing ever. It tells you exactly what talismans you need. Super handy. I'm just doing this because for early game players, if there's like 50 talismans, you don't know which ones to get and how much they cost. However, just a piece of advice, go for the cheaper ones first. Try to prioritize getting epic and legendary talismans first, and then go into getting all the talismans. If all the talismans cost more than 5 mil to get, you might want to consider putting recombobulators on your legendary talismans first, because that might be more worth it than buying 5 mil talismans. If a talisman costs 7 mil, it might be worth it to spend 5 mil for a recom instead of buying that talisman. But your call in the end. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing. It'd help out a lot. And I'll see you guys next one. Peace.